Hey y'all, it's me, Dolores, the pastor's daughter. I'm coming to y'all bare-faced, like bare-faced. Um, I was wanting to just follow up a little bit more about the post I did yesterday. Y'all, I didn't mess around and got myself sicker. So I went to the doctor this morning because I haven't been able to break this cough. I told you I had an upper respiratory situation and a ear infection. And so today, Monday, I went back to the doctor because I still have this congestion in my chest and still have some buildup in my ears. So they gave me a inhaler and a antibiotic and some cough syrup and 2 shots. So hopefully that'll break it up. But now it's bronchitis. So it is what it is. I said I was gonna well, I told myself this. I told my husband. I didn't tell y'all this, but I was thinking like I would just record like a video every day for like the next 30 days. First of all, because it's gonna break me out of my shell, of like just kind of like getting over that fear of putting this out there. Plus, like, I don't have any makeup on. I know that I look terrible. I didn't do anything to my hair. But like that's part of who I am. This is like kind of like my day-to-day struggle. And I told you guys that I have fibromyalgia. I have lupus that's not full blown, but I have some of the symptoms. A few of the symptoms of it that are problematic at times. And so, I can get like normal sick like everybody else, get a regular cold, but it just hits different for me, like I already have extreme fatigue dealing with the fibromyalgia. So when my body has to fight off something like this, it just kind of weighs different on me. But anyway, so yeah, okay, so let me just say this because you'll probably hear me talk about my illnesses and stuff in relation to how I'm talking about my father. And I just, want to make it clear, I guess, I don't blame him for me being sick, but I recognize that there is a strong correlation to the illnesses that I'm dealing with and the trauma that I experienced growing up. Like when I shared the story about the tickle torture and my first memory of my father abusing me, I guess I don't want it to get confused to think that, like, first of all, I had to go all the way back. That's my first that's the first memory that I can, recall. So I mean, I'm not saying that nothing happened before then or whatever, but I don't have a recollection of it. That was an event that it shaped our relationship. So like, when it happened, it was like, I was 5 years old, and I was already confused as to what was happening, you know. But to top it off, at that age, I like, what 5-year-old really like should have to ask themselves like, what type of person is capable of doing this, But I feel like that moment, I had to grow up and ask that question, and it was a question that I asked, throughout my life. What type of person is capable of doing these things? What type of person can do this? And so like that was just the first incident. So like I have to establish this groundwork with you guys. Like, first of all, you have to get to know me, and in order to know me, you have to know what I've experienced. You have to know the trauma that I've been through, and how this has shaped my father and my relationship, and how it has revealed to me like the things that I'm exposing now. These are things that I saw as a 5-year-old girl, and I just can't even imagine. It's like when I tell the story, it's like I detach myself from it. Like when I told you, I was like, I don't even remember the pain of it. I just remember the screaming, and it was like I was outside of myself. Like now I can hear it, and it's like I'm outside of myself. Like it's an outer body experience where I can see the little girl. I could see me, as a little girl experience that, and it's like I'm looking at it from a like a fly on the wall perspective, I guess, or vantage point. It's like I have detached myself from that event because I don't feel like I could really get caught up in the in what happened itself, but the meaning behind what happened. So the lesson that I learned in it and how it shaped our relationship moving forward, and how it allowed me to see things throughout the years. Like my father used to say that he's like, it's like Lois, that's his name for me. That's my nickname that he calls me. And he's like, he told my mother, he was like, it's like Lois sees me, it's like she can see me. And that's exactly how I always felt. I always felt like I see past his eyes. I can see what's behind them. And so it's like, man, like that was like that first incident that, I could tell you guys is just like, okay, this is like establishing some of the groundwork, And so like that's what I'm challenging you guys to, to question now, because I know that you can see you see him. And I think, what's a little bit disturbing for me is the fact that I'm speaking up about all of this stuff, and my father's still preaching. Like it's like it's almost an insult. It's an insult to injury that's already been caused. It's like, how are you made aware, and the whole world basically made aware of the things that you've done, and you still feel that you're justified, or that you're right by continuing to preach, and it just seems weird to me. So I don't know, I'm gonna leave that alone for now. I'll leave that for another video, but we'll definitely talk about that. But so like, as far as following up from yesterday's video, I think that's like the major question I wanted you guys to ask yourself is like, dang, like what type of person is capable of doing this? Like, imagine me as a 5-year-old girl, right? And you're like my father, I mean, I guess, normally you would think I have kids, a lot of us have kids, and, I've tickled my kids before, but I never, tickled them with the intention of hurting them. And I could probably say that I tickled them past the point of enjoyment, past the point where they actually told me to stop. I might not have listened the first stop. I don't know, but it just, it is weird to me that that was kind of like, that was a mask, so to speak, like his intention was never really to tickle me, and that, I enjoyed, and that we share that moment, It was something that like he was trying to teach me a lesson even in that moment. It's like I'll hurt you, I mean, I don't know what other lesson I was supposed to really get from that, because it wasn't a display of love, it wasn't a bond that we had. It wasn't, something that we shared. It was his desire to fulfill like some type of a sick desire for enjoyment off of my pain. It was like, it was weird. But see, like, that's the thing, like, these things have continued and continued, and the only thing that has changed is that it's just more covert. It's more hidden. It's like he just learned to be smarter in the evil things that he was doing. You know, it wasn't like, okay, I'm going to change for the better. It was like, I'm going to change so that, you know, you can't call me out, so that I'm more inconspicuous, so I'm, you know, a little more hidden in the things that I'm doing. And you know, which is why I felt so strongly about recording things and recording incidents and stuff like that, because it's like, you know, he's good at this. He's been doing this his whole life. He's been sugarcoating things. I mean, he's a professional, you know, at this point. It's a gifting, um, you know, to be able to like stand behind the pulpit and really, like just really maintain that mask, you know, like, wow, when you think about it. But anyway, so I want to before I get off of here, it's already 11 minutes into this video. Speaking of which, how do y'all feel about these videos? Like, how do y'all feel about like the length of videos? So y'all gonna have to talk to me about that, because it's like, you know, I'm just getting started, and I want to get the message out there, but I also want to meet your needs, you know. So like, if certain, you know, if certain length of videos aren't doable, like, just let me know, and, you know, we can adjust, or we could break them up, or, you know, or whatever. I know like some of this stuff is really heavy, and I don't ever want to leave you guys, you know, that's the mental health professional in me. I don't ever want to really leave you guys hanging, you know, on like in an emotional, vulnerable place, you know, hearing stories, because you know, they're only gonna get you know, they're only gonna get more egregious, and, you know, maybe a little more graphic, a little more violent. You know, on this channel, you're gonna hear some things that are really gonna challenge your belief system. You know, it's really gonna make you question things. It's gonna make you question like how you know, how you perceive abuse, how you perceive narcissistic abuse, how you perceive childhood trauma effects in adults. You know, I'm second to the youngest. I'm 40 years old. You know, I have a brother who's 50, and so who was dealing with this, you know, 10 years longer than I. And so it's just, this is going to be a challenge. You know, it's going to challenge you, you know, and it's challenging me. I think it's going to challenge all of us to really you know, just to really look at our perception of things, and our preconceived notions, our bias, and all of those things that you know, factor into how we view people who have experienced trauma and abuse. And I say childhood trauma, but what you guys will see as you know, as my story unfolds on this page, is that it wasn't just childhood trauma. You know, these things continued. Other people were being victimized, not just his family. And I think maybe I could accept if it was just us, you know, because I mean, like, we're the closest relationship, and when you're honest about it, you know, like, sometimes your family gets the worst of you sometimes, you know, and that's just because it's, you know, you're in a vulnerable position, and that's, you know, when you're with your family is when you could be your truest self. But it's just, it's crazy. Anyway, so let me address a couple questions in response to the video post that I made. I told you guys before that I was going to be making video responses, but you know, like, my body has always responded to my father's trauma, and I didn't even realize this until into my adulthood. It was after the fibromyalgia diagnosis and all of that stuff that I started realizing the correlation between what my father, like, his illness and my illness, so to speak. You know, his mental is my physical illness. But it just seems like there is a heavy correlation. And I can remember always having some type of visceral response to the dramatic or traumatic things that was happening in my life. And my earliest memory is like it really attacking my bladder. This, I don't know, maybe like whatever the mental connection between, you know, what I was going through and how it manifested in my body. um I believe that there is a very, very, very heavy correlation. And so, you know, on this channel, I'm going to unfold those things, you know. So like, I guess reserve your judgment, you know. I haven't really, you know, gotten any judgment from anybody. In fact, sometimes like a little bit of the lack of response makes me a little nervous, you know. Um, but I know that this is uncomfortable for people, and really people don't know what to say, you know, and I understand that. Um, but anyway, let me go. You know, I always be losing that's also part of my fibro symptoms. I have fibro fog, so sometimes I'll just totally lose my train of thought while I'm talking. Okay, so one of my one of the ladies who commented on my post said that tickle torture is real, and it is, y'all. When I was getting ready to tell that story, like, keep in mind, I've told that story on several videos that I just haven't posted, because I was just trying to figure out, like, how do I say this? How do I tell people this story? How do I do this? So I just tried it a bunch of different ways, and I just was like, well, I'll just post that video, you know, and hopefully people will understand what I'm trying to say. But it's actually like a well-known torture thing. So like when I was doing some research, I found it like I think maybe it was in China somewhere, or somewhere in Asian countries or whatever, that they would tie someone up and then dip their feet in like salt water or something like that, and then have a goat lick the bottom of the person's feet, right? And so at first, you know, it'll give you a you know, a tickle response, and you're probably gonna laugh at first. In fact, you'll probably even keep laughing, which is crazy, because that's what those notes said. Is like eventually, like, this guy, he kept crying, but then he was laughing, but he started crying too. So it's like it was sending like mixed signals, and they compare those mixed signals in the brain to someone who has been, like, let's say, sexually violated, right? So like sometimes people will be, you know, sexually violated, but their body will respond in a way that seems like they like it, or that, you know, that their body is enjoying it, when it's just not even the case. It's just, you know, sometimes your body defeats you. And it you know, then that sends mixed messages in your minds, like, wait a minute, but I don't like this, but my body is responding to it in a way that looks like I like it. And so that's what that tickle, you know, thing does. So I mean, like, enjoy that moment, you know, with the person that you love, who also enjoys being tickled. But just keep in mind, you know, that there's a limit to that. And some people will, like, hyperventilate, and, you know, their heart rate increases and stuff like that. And people have died from being tickled. So I mean, look it up, y'all. Like, that's really a thing. So when you take like my father's deviance, and, you know, and stuff like that, it's like, man, you really got to question, is that what he was really trying to do to me? You know, was he trying to torture me under the facade of play? And that's the message that that seemed to be recurrent in my life, and growing up with my father, is that it wasn't enjoyable. You know, it sent mixed messages of enjoyment. You know, some of the things that he did sent mixed messages of enjoyment, but there was like an undertone of rage, of hate, of disdain, you know, of contempt, that he felt towards me, and that I could see that he felt towards my siblings and my mother as well. And then let me see, this video's getting long, y'all. Okay, I'm gonna make another video about because this is one of the ladies that used to go to our church that I think my father put her out, actually. and said some very negative things about her when she left, as a matter of fact. But I'm going to end the video here with my sister-in-law's comment. And she said that my brother, when referring to that car incident, what I didn't say in my original video is that it was more than just me in the car at the time that my father slammed my leg in the door. In fact, my mother also remembers the incident, and my younger brother, who, I was 5 at the time, so he had to be about 3 or 4 years old. And he remembers it. So it was like, it was a defining moment, not just for me. It was a defining moment for my mother and for my brother. And when my father slammed my leg in the door, remember I told you guys I screamed, and I can remember the scream. I can still hear it. And my father walked away, right? He just walked away. And I was still screaming. And my mother said, she said, shut up. She said, shut up, Lois, shut up. And at the time, I was like, oh my God, like, not only, did my father just hurt me, pinching, literally pinching and scratching at me. You guys, my father has the strongest nails, and they hurt. And so he was like digging into my skin. But when he slammed my leg in the door, my mother told me to shut up, and I just couldn't understand why. And so, in most recent years, I asked her, I'm like, what was that about, and from her, she actually cleared up a lot of a little memory discrepancies that I had there, because I remember myself being older. Excuse me, I hope my nose is alright. You guys know what I'm saying. Excuse me, I'm sorry. But anyway, I remember myself being older. I thought I was 8 years old. So it was my distorted memory of what happened almost gave my father the benefit of the doubt almost. It was already it was still terrible. It was still gonna be terrible no matter how old I was. But 8 is a lot different from 5, and I wasn't even in school yet. So I mean, that's crazy. But what I didn't know at the time that my mother was telling me to shut up was that my father was becoming more angry. That the more I screamed, the more rageful he was becoming. And now that, now that I know that part of it, because I couldn't see that part. All I could see was he hurt me, and I told him he hurt me, and then he hurt me more. That was the little girl in me. It's what? Who? How? What did I do? How, what the heck? And then when it was when she topped it off by shut up, and I just didn't even understand what was happening in that moment. Now I know that she was protecting me, but how was protecting me silencing me? You see what I'm saying? So now that I'm an adult, and I still recall those moments of my father trying to silence me, and that was just my first memory of it. I have spoken to my father and tried to many times, and even after he showed me that that me speaking up about his wrongdoing was really just going to cause me more hurt and pain, I still did it, because I love him, and because I love me, and because I love my family, and our safety was important. And I really, when I looked at my father, I saw a beautiful person. I saw a man with potential, with so much talent, the golden goose of the family. You know, he had the looks and the voice, and he could preach, and he was charismatic, and he made people feel good, and he was handsome, and he could dress. And he's still alive, by the way. But I'm just talking about him in the past tense because he's in my past. But I kept trying. You know, I kept trying. And even now, I feel like what I'm doing is still trying in a way. You know, it's still like putting an effort there, because I don't ever want to, I don't ever want it to, like, I don't have hope in him. I don't have hope in him getting better. I don't have hope in him admitting what he did. And I'll prove to you guys why I know he's not going to change. But that's irrelevant. I still tried, and I still feel like I'm still trying, but that's only because I'm holding out faith. You know, that's only because I believe in God. But I know that God is not going to push change on him. I know that God is not going to invade him, because God's not like that. You know, God is not the type who would tickle you and, you know, and you ask him to stop and he continues doing that. You know, he's not the type that's going to slam your leg in the door. My natural father did that, but my heavenly father is not like that. And that's the lesson that I had to learn by leaving the church, because I equated what my natural father was doing with what my heavenly father is. And that was anyway, so I guess this is a good time to end the video. This is real, you guys. And just bear with me as I tell this story, as I get it out. Yeah, I need to go take care of this bronchitis. Anyway, I love you guys. And thank you for listening. So if this resonates with you, if you rock it with me, you know, if you're in it for the journey, for the long haul, I'm in it for the long haul, you know. So like, share, and subscribe, I guess. Anyway, bye-bye for now. Love y'all.